All right, good afternoon, everyone. I hope you're having a good day. And we're going to do another Rashi from Parshas Vayera. I keep being tempted to say we're going to do a Rashi from the fourth Aliyah on this Wednesday afternoon of Parshas Ha'azinu, but it's not really Parshas Ha'azinu, and we're not doing a Rashi from the fourth Aliyah or from Ha'azinu at all, but we are studying the Rashis in Parshas Vayera in preparation for Rosh Hashanah. So I want to go back to that passage we were studying yesterday and see a very interesting Rashi. So, of course, we're talking about the passage here of the birth of Yitzchak, which we read about on Rosh Hashanah. And the pasuk says, "Vatera says ben Hagar hamitzvah sheyadal Abraham mitzachek." Sarah sees the problematic behavior of Ishmael towards Yitzchak. Talked a little bit about this pasuk yesterday, and actually, I did a better job. I didn't have time before our call yesterday to do this, but I did a better job of it today, showing you all these references to tzchok in various forms throughout all of these parshios. So talked a little bit about it yesterday, but if you begin back in Parshas Lech Lecha, in the bris ben habesarim, so Avram's given the news that he's going to have a child, and Vayipol Avram al panav vayitzchak. That's the first instance of laughter. Avraham laughs at the news, whatever laughs means, tzchok, whatever tzchok means. And then, in ironic fashion, after the tzchok of Avram, Hashem says that one day when this child is born, which is what we're reading about now in Vayera, Vekarasa Shmo Yitzchak. He's going to be named Yitzchak. And the bris is going to be with Yitzchak. His name continues to be repeated. Then you fast forward a little bit to the beginning of the Vayera, the part we don't read on Rosh Hashanah, the very beginning of the Parsha, when the three people arrive at their door and give the actual tidings to Avram and Sarah this time, not in the bris ben Abisarim before, but now in reality, in real time. This time it's not Avram that laughs, it's Sarah that laughs. But Titzchak Sarah Bikir Baalei Mor. But in a similar way, Avram reacts by laughing, although they're different. There's a lot to say about the difference, but Avram reacts by tzchok. Sarah now reacts by tzchok. She's questioned, right? Lamazet tzachaka Sarah. She's questioned about the tzchok. She answers, lo ki tzachakt. She answers the tachesh Sarah, lo tzachakti ki yareya. And she's responded to, lo ki tzachakt. There's an argument about her tzchok. And then fast forwarding now to our passage, again, as I mentioned yesterday, all these mentions of Yitzchak. Yitzchak's name related to tzchok. Avram is so old and his son Yitzchak is born. Sarah, as her child is born, says, tzchok. God made a tzchok to me, and everyone else will be Yitzchak li. Again, tzchok. We talked about this tzchok not being laughing or incredulity, but simcha, right? So we have tzchok of incredulity. That's Sarah's reaction to the news, Avram's reaction to the news. We have now tzchok here, Yitzchak li of simcha, like everyone will be so happy, not really tzchok, but more tzchok, okay? Az yimale tzchok pinu ul shonei narina, like Pasuk in Tehillim says, tzchok, joy, joyousness. And now we have a third. Sarah sees that Yishmael's behavior to Yitzchak is mitzachek. Rashi says is lashon avodah zara. So we already have three definitions of tzchok. We have tzchok incredulity, we have tzchok simcha, now we have tzchok avodah zara, and all of these are enmeshed together in this weird story that produces the son, which Hashem already foretells will be named Yitzchak in reference to all the layers of tzchok that are involved in his life. And that's just sort of a recap and a rebranding of yesterday by seeing it in the psukim. Okay, so now we have this problem. Yishmael is bothering Yitzchak, and Sarah won't stand for it. Vatomer la'Avraham, a very powerful motherly moment in the yellow. Vatomer la'Avraham, she says to Avram, Garesh ha'ama hazos ve'espena, kick out Hagar, kick out her son, ki lo yirash ben ha'ama hazos im bini im Yitzchak, because this son of this maidservant, Hagar's son, which we know as Ishmael, will not be Yirash with my son. Not only does Yirash mean inherit over here, but we can't have them be part of the same line, the same destiny. We can't have them influence each other, is really what she's saying over there. She casts it in the language of Yerusha because ultimately Avram knows that that's the promise of Hashem. The Yitzchak's the Yoresh, not Ishmael. So she's able to couch it in terms of Yerusha, but really what she's saying is we can't allow Ishmael to influence Yitzchak in any way, and therefore Garesh Ha'ama Hazos Ve'esbena. And of course, that's very complicated for Avraham. How does he do that? Hashem instructs him to listen to Sarah. That's the rest of this story. Maybe we'll get to in subsequent days. But I want to focus here on the end of this pasuk in yellow, when she says, "Lo yirash ben hamazos im bini im Yitzchak." Those words seem to be redundant. Avram knows that Sarah's son is Yitzchak, and Avram knows that Yitzchak is her son. So why does she say, no, Yishmael will never have an influence over Beni Yitzchak, my son Yitzchak? Why does she repeat those two things? I showed you yesterday, many of the references repeat that. Yitzchak Beno, Yitzchak Beno. The two are related. There's a lot to say about this in general, but in this pasuk, she's saying it in her own words, not the narration of the Torah saying Yitzchak Beno, but here Sarah herself is saying Im Bini Im Yitzchak. Why is she referring to him as my son Yitzchak, which seems to be redundant? Rashi has a beautiful take over here, which says a lot about parenthood and about adult responsibility for children in general. Im Bini Kama Im Yitzchak. Mikevan Shehu Bini Afilu Ena Hagun Ki Yitzchak. Oh, Hagun Ki Yitzchak Afilu Enu Bini. Kal v'chomer sheshtehen bo. Sarah's argument was a kal v'chomer. Sarah's argument to Avram was there's two reasons why we need to protect the integrity of Yitzchak and make sure he grows up right. Number one, he's Beni, my son. Even if he wasn't so upstanding, even if he wasn't a tzaddik like my actual son Yitzchak is, just the fact that he is Beni, however his behavior manifests, he is Beni, and therefore I have to protect him. Number two, Imi Yitzchak, even if he wasn't my son, but he was like a Yitzchak, like a tzaddik, I still have to protect his integrity and make sure he grows up right. Beautiful Rashi, Im Bini Im Yitzchak, highlighting the fact that as a parent, no matter how your child is turning out, you have a responsibility to protect them and to raise them right. And number two, even as a non-parent, when you see children out there in the world who have qualities, who have integrity, who have what it takes, it's your responsibility to build them up. It's your responsibility to take charge. If they're a Yitzchak, if they have qualities that need to be nurtured, then even if they're not B'ni, I have a responsibility to take care of them. Whatever that means, different than a parent taking care of a child, but we have a general responsibility as adults to care for children, to care for all children in a basic way, to make sure they're not harmed, to make sure they're safe. But with children who have potential, who have something that's shining through, it's the responsibility of all adults, even if they're not B'ni, even if they're not my child, to be able to foster that potential and make sure it leads somewhere. That's the beauty of this Rashi. It's Sarah speaking as a parent and as an adult, and saying in both buckets, I would have a responsibility towards this child in front of us. So now kal v'chomer, that this one has both. He's B'ni, so no matter if he's a tzaddik or not, I have a responsibility for his raising him in a moral way. And number two, even if he wasn't B'ni, he's Yitzchak, he's a tzaddik, and I have a responsibility to foster that in him. And here we have the collision of both, and therefore there's no question in my mind, Avram, you have to kick out Hagar and Ishmael, so the Yitzchak is raised right. We'll have to think about here in terms of these paradigms, these relationships, and our responsibility. Thank you so much, everybody. Have a great day.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rabbi.